When did Britain become permanently separated from the continent by the Channel? A. 10,000 years ago. B. 50,000 years ago. C. 15,000 years ago. D. 18,000 years ago. Correct. Britain only became permanently separated from the continent by the Channel about 10,000 years ago. Where is the city of Swansea located? A. In England. B. In Scotland. C. In Wales. D. In the Isle of Man. Correct. Swansea is located in Wales. Who were the first people to arrive in Britain in what we call the Stone Age? A. Farmers. B. Hunter-gatherers. C. Warriors. D. Pirates. Correct. The first people to live in Britain were hunter-gatherers, in what we call the Stone Age. The Commonwealth has no power over its members and it cannot suspend their membership. A. True. B. False. Correct. The Commonwealth has no power over its members, although it can suspend membership. What is known as Lent? A. The 40 days before Easter. B. 40 days after Christmas. C. 40 days after Easter. D. 40 days before Christmas. Correct. The 40 days before Easter are known as Lent. Which country's flag is not part of the Union flag? A. Wales. B. Ireland. C. England. D. Scotland. Correct. The Welsh dragon is not part of the Union flag. What is the judiciary responsible for? A. Deciding whether a person is guilty. B. Looking after a jury. C. Putting people in jail. D. Interpreting the law. Correct. Judges, who are together called the judiciary, are responsible for interpreting the law and ensuring that trials are conducted fairly. When did the Habeas Corpus Act become law? A. 1685. B. 1687. C. 1679. D. 1683. Correct. The Habeas Corpus Act became law in 1679. This was a very important piece of legislation which remains relevant today. Which of the events is the bombing of English cities by the Germans? A. The Blitz. B. The Dunkirk Spirit. C. D-Day. D. The Battle of Britain. Correct. The Blitz was the German Air Force bombing London and other British cities at nighttime. The phrase, the Blitz spirit, is still used today to describe Britons pulling together in the face of adversity. Which of these venues is located in Greenwich? A. The SECC. B. The O2. C. Auditorio de Tenerife. D. The Copenhagen Concert Hall. Correct. There are many large venues that host music events throughout the year, such as the O2 in Greenwich and the Scottish Exhibition and Conference Centre, SECC, in Glasgow. When did the UK leave the EU following the Brexit vote? A. 1957. B. 2020. C. 1987. D. 1973. The UK originally decided not to join EU group, but it became a member in 1973. After UK's Brexit vote in 2020, the UK is no more EU member states. When was the first British Prime Minister, Sir Robert Walpole, in power? A. 1742-1746. B. 1714-1721. C1707-1714. D1721-1742. Correct. The first man to be called Prime Minister was Sir Robert Walpole, who was Prime Minister from 1721 to 1742. Which country's national flower is a thistle? A. Northern Ireland. B. England. C. Scotland. D. Wales. Correct. A thistle is a national flower of Scotland. Magistrates and Justices of the Peace, JPs, are members of what? A. Law Society. B. Local community. C. Ruling party. D. Police force. Correct. Magistrates and Justices of the Peace, JPs, are members of the local community. In England, Wales and Scotland they usually work unpaid and do not need legal qualifications. They receive training to do the job and are supported by a legal advisor. Peers nominated by the Prime Minister can only serve for their lifetime. A. True. B. False. Correct. Since 1958, the Prime Minister has had the power to nominate peers just for their own lifetime. These are called life peers. Which two countries took part in the Battle of Agincourt? A. France. B. Scotland. C. Wales. D. England. Correct. English kings also fought a long war with France, called the 100 Years' War, even though it actually lasted 116 years. One of the most famous battles of the 100 Years' War was the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, where King Henry V's vastly outnumbered English army defeated the French. The English left France in the 1450s. Who is credited with the introduction of the National Health Service, NHS, in 1948? A. David Hume. B. Florence Nightingale. C. Aneurin Bevan. D. Winston Churchill. Correct. In 1948, Aneurin Bevan, the Minister for Health, led the establishment of the National Health Service, NHS, which guaranteed a minimum standard of healthcare for all, free at the point of use. The Speaker is an MP. He or she represents a constituency and deals with constituents' problems like any other MP. A. True. B. False. Correct. The Speaker is neutral and does not represent a political party, even though he or she is an MP, represents a constituency and deals with constituents' problems like any other MP. What religion were Puritans? A. Jews. B. Buddhists. C. Catholics. D. Protestants. Correct. Puritans, a group of Protestants who advocated strict and simple religious doctrine and worship. Who can nominate life peers? Select 2. A. The Prime Minister. B. The Monarchy. C. The Speaker. D. Leaders of other main political parties. Correct. Since 1958, the Prime Minister has had the power to nominate peers just for their own lifetime. These are called life peers. Life peers are appointed by the monarch on the advice of the Prime Minister. They also include people nominated by the leaders of the other main political parties or by an independent appointments commission for non-party peers. What country did Hitler invade in 1939? A. The USA. B. Poland. C. Italy. D. USSR. The British government tried to avoid another war. However, when Hitler invaded Poland in 1939, Britain and France declared war in order to stop his aggression. Name the most famous cricket competition, which is a series of test matches played between England and Australia. A. Lords. B. Ashes. C. Classics. D. Masters. The most famous competition is the Ashes, which is a series of test matches played between England and Australia. Which country's flag is not part of the Union flag? A. Wales. B. Ireland. C. Scotland. D. England. Correct. Wales. The Welsh dragon is not part of the Union flag. Which tribes invaded Britain after the Romans had left? A. The Vikings. B. The Jutes and the Anglo-Saxons. C. The Celtics. D. The Normans. Correct. Britain was invaded by tribes from northern Europe, the Jutes, the Angles and the Saxons after the Roman army left Britain in AD 410 to defend other parts of the Roman Empire.